Alright, parents, today we are going to go over some basic Greek and Latin root words. These will be very useful for your children as their reading progresses in all subject areas, but particularly language arts as well as social studies. In social studies, you're going to find a lot of Greek and Latin root words in political science and economics. In language arts, this is just going to be valuable for reading in general. If you will teach them, now you'll see these vary by age, something like Aurora or Australis, that's more for middle or high school, but even elementary kids can start learning some of these very early on, and it will help them expand their vocabulary as they get older. I've got this in 3 categories. On the far left you see the Greek or Latin root words like Aurora, Australis, Borealis, which you're mostly familiar with. In the middle you'll see the meaning, the English meaning. Aurora is light. Australis means south or southern. Borealis means north or northern. You've heard of the Aurora Borealis, the northern lights. Few of you have heard of the Aurora Australis, which is the same thing, only it happens in the southern hemisphere. And then on the far right you see some examples. So we have anti, as in against. To be anti something means you are against it. Anti-hero, anti-social, antibiotic. Antisocial, you all know the meaning of that, meaning you don't like to socialize. You are opposed to social activities. Antibiotic means antibacterial. It works against bacteria. Biotic means bacterial. Underneath that, these are the 2 most confusing words, anti and anti. Anti can sometimes mean against, but typically it means before. A common example, the one your kids are going to come across most often, is antebellum, as in the antebellum South. Bellum, which you see directly below that, meaning war. Antebellum means before war, pre-Civil War. So it's referring to the South before the Civil War. If we go down a little further, mouse isn't working. You see we also have pre, peri, and post. Pre is another example of before. Peri meaning during, and post meaning after. Pre in the use of before would be prefix, premature, preview. Preview as in watch something before the movie. Prefix would be, pre itself is an example of a prefix. It comes before the rest of the word. Premature meaning before maturity, a premature birth. The baby has not fully developed. Peri meaning during. Period, as in a period of time, the time that occurred during that period. Perinatal, natal means birth. Perinatal means during birth. Perimortem, there you see another big root word. It's mortem or morte, meaning death. Perimortem means during death, an injury that occurred during death. If any of you watch those big law shows, you've heard that word.